Good day. My name is Dr. Mary Givens. I am an assistant professor at the University of Alabama in the Social and Cultural Studies program in the College of Education. I want to introduce you to Ross Detremont, a former student. While Ross and I may not share political views, we do share a real interest in service to the community as well as to the University of Alabama. So please welcome Ross Detremont.
Okay, can everyone, no, now you can. Everyone can hear me, right? All right, before we begin, I want everyone to look at one of their hands. All right, look at it really good. In front of you, you might see some really ugly nail polish. You might see 4 fingers and a thumb. Some of you might have less, some of you might have more. Please let me know. But what you all see and might not realize are cells. The Smithsonian Institute estimates that within the average human body, there are 37.2 trillion cells. And these cells make up the foundation of human life. Cells have many parts. Now, none of us probably know how to do taxes, but we all know what the mitochondria of the cell is. We know that a cell has a nucleus, it has cytoplasm, it has all these different parts. And these parts of the cell have to interact with one another, and they all have to do their part in order for the cell to correctly function, and ultimately for our bodies to function and to have a healthy life. Your institution and your education can be an example of a cell, because it is the foundation of so many things for later in life. It is the foundation that's going to get you a career, hopefully. Graduation's coming up for me, so it's kind of nerve-wracking. It's a foundation of your relationships, of your friendships. Many times at an institution, in college, maybe even high school, people find their future spouse. An institution in your education, just like a cell, is a foundational part. And just as some of us take vitamins or medicine or eat healthy in order that we're investing in our own health and our betterment of our bodies, it's important to also invest and serve and give back to your institution. So my name is Ross Detremont, and I'm a senior majoring in political science. I'm also pursuing my Master's of Arts in Political Science. I'm originally from Beaumont, Texas. I am the SGA Vice President for Academic Affairs. I love chocolate and Law and Order. Many people believe that Law and Order actually raised me instead of my parents, but nonetheless, it's very foundational, like a cell to my life. In the fall, I hope to begin a joint JD MBA program, either at the University of Virginia or the University of Notre Dame. And lastly, I am the chairman of the RD Foundation. I'm going to leave you all up to your own minds of what RD stands for. Just know I would, as you will see throughout this presentation, I love myself very much. And I would name a makeup foundation just after me, okay? So, y'all thought I was kidding about loving myself. So what does service to an institution look like? Or what is, when I say service or investing in an institution, what do I mean? Well, many of you, if not all of you, serve your community in some way, right? There's Meals on Wheels, and maybe you go and you're in the honors college and you teach chess to second or third graders in one of the local schools. Perhaps you are involved in a music service. You go to a church. All these types of things. There's so many ways to serve in our life. But I'm talking about something different. Serving an institution and going back and investing in an institution is a little bit different. Serving your institution is making a conscious decision to better educational experiences while simultaneously participating in that experience. In doing so, you begin to recognize the humanity behind problems facing education in our society. A wise man once said that. And ever since I came up with that yesterday, I've stuck by it. But what it really means is that it's very important to understand that investing in a foundation like your institution, while you're also a member of it, will advance you and that institution. So what does it really look like? Maybe serving on university committees here at the University of Alabama. Perhaps if you're in high school, if you were in your student government association in high school. Starting programs that directly benefit your institution. For instance, we have numerous recycling programs throughout this campus that are aimed at not only recycling and reducing the university's carbon footprint, but at times that they take cans and everything and the money goes back into scholarships. Okay, that is directly impacting our university. It's about seeing a problem, coming up with a viable solution to ameliorate that issue, and then putting that goal, putting that idea, putting that plan into action. Examples. So this is President Bell and I on the university plane. We were flying to, I believe it was Atlanta or Dallas, and we were going out to recruit students. Strangely, after this trip, I was never allowed back on the plane. I'm not sure why, but we went out to recruit students. All right, we spent the evening recruiting students to come to our institution. Maybe it's serving in SGA. We have a motto in SGA, students serving students. We have a general education task force. And these are some of the things in which I'm involved because these are part of my intrinsic motivations. And each and every one of you have intrinsic motivations that you can align here on the university to give back and invest and serve. Death. Now, typically when someone hears death, they're not get all sunshine and excited. And if you do, we'd probably get along. But when you hear death, it's morbid. You're not happy about it. It doesn't really excite you. When different parts of a cell break down, all right, they don't interact like they're supposed to, that cell can die. And if enough of the cells do die, that it will impact all of your body, in particular the areas in which the cells are dying. It could be that internal force breaking down that cell. Nothing's working together like it's supposed to. It could be external forces like radiation that's coming in and killing the cells without the internal cells or the internal parts of the cell working like they're supposed to. Institutions are no different. When internal or external factors begin to affect institutions, those institutions can actually start to die, or parts of them do not work as efficiently as they're supposed to, and you have to pull resources from other areas. So it's important that just like a cell to be healthy, an institution has to be healthy. And serving that institution, giving back to that institution, is a way in which that you keep it functioning. You keep things working efficiently, and that's very vital. Now, what happens, though, when people don't serve their institution? Or at least people are not interacting in a way throughout their educational experience that they begin to see, or they have seen, the humanity behind some of our education problems. The Alabama Accountability Act. Now, Dr. Givens was putting it very nicely when she said that she and I do not agree on political things. This will come as no shock to any of you. I was not a Bernie bro. I'm actually a Republican. And the Alabama Accountability Act was passed in 2013, and it was signed into law in the state, and it was passed and voted on by Republicans. It was pretty party line. It was a Republican act. And in essence, it was a quasi-voucher program. It was a program designed to help students in failing schools get into non-failing schools. Okay? And you can either do that by leaving a failing school and going into a private school, or you could leave a failing school and go into a non-failing public school. But the point is to get students out of failing schools. That was the intention. What wound up happening is in the law itself, there was no requirement that students had to come from failing schools in order to win the scholarships or to receive the scholarships. What actually it says is preference has to be given to students who are below a certain family income level and are in failing schools. After an analysis of the Act, only 24% of students who are scholarship recipients, so about 900 out of 4,000 scholarship recipients across the state, came from failing schools. 76% of students were actually in a just fine institution and left it to go to typically a private school. 90% of the time it was to a private school. There's these implicit biases that can really damage the intent of what this act was aimed to do. For instance, in rural communities throughout the state of Alabama, there might not be a non-failing school nearby. Often in impoverished areas, much like rural Alabama, people are on hourly incomes. They're not salaried. So how can a parent, maybe a single parent, who has to drive 45 minutes to get to a non-failing school each way, also get in the hours that are necessary to put food on the table? These are the types of things that happen when we don't begin to invest and learn from our institution. That's my nephew, little Sean. I just love him. I just wanted to put that. There's no bearing on the presentation. When serving an institution like the University of Alabama, we meet people from all walks of life. We meet rich and we meet poor. We meet people from big families and small families. We meet single parents who are coming back here to try and earn a degree, and we meet people who are the oldest of 10 in their family. When we serve in other areas and we really delve into the policies that are important to serving an institution, whether it's the core curriculum or it's the medical withdrawal policy, we begin to gain a better understanding for the humanity of the people who will really be affected by these policies. And we get to intersperse that with the policies themselves. So we have the human aspect, and then we have the black and white statutes. And we try to bring them together so they're more harmonious. That is a benefit of serving an institution. So that perhaps when we're making education policies in the future, when we're working on that foundation, we don't make some of the mistakes that they did with the Alabama Accountability Act. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, in his inauguration speech, said, and I'm going to do my best at his accent, so feel free to laugh at me, but he said, "The world is very different now, for man holds in his mortal hands the ability to abolish all forms of human poverty and all forms of human life." And I believe his words were prescient, in that this was in the 1960s, and we're now in 2019. We have the power to work with other people through the media, through conversations, through our cell phones, and learn more about them, and to come back and build a stronger foundation for ourselves and for our future. We have such an opportunity to give back to the institution from which we expect so much, so we will better ourselves and better those who will come after us. And so I want us all to remember part. The first is to be present. That's one way that you can serve your institution. Be present when they have open meetings for new deans that they're hiring. Be active is the next part. Maybe serve on a committee. Or if you go to those meetings when we're getting a new dean, send in your feedback. Be active in your institution's policies. Represent. And I cannot stress this enough. Being a good representative of your institution is a way that everyone can serve their institution. When a prospective student comes to campus and they're lost, and you help them and their family, and you're kind and you smile, that's such an easy way to represent, to serve, and to give back to your institution. And the last one, as it plays a part in all the first three, is to give your time. It doesn't have to be long. It can be an hour, it can be 2 hours, it can be once a month at a committee meeting. It can be going to meet with the dean for just 30 minutes about a problem that you see. But time, we talk about salmon being valuable, which it is, especially on Cedar Plain. But time is one of the most valuable things, if not the most valuable thing that we all possess. And giving your time to others is such a remarkable way to show them that you care about them. So just as a mitochondria is an important part of a healthy cell, and just as a healthy cell is important for a healthy body, every one of you is an important part to a healthy institution. Thank you.